Welcome to the Empty Opinions Podcast, bitch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Empty Reviews. That's right, the little sideshow on the Empty Opinions podcast feed and YouTube channel as well. Because if you're listening to this, you can also watch this on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go listen to it on the podcast feed. But regardless, this is just the place where I guess I review movies, TV shows, albums, any kind of media that I enjoy talking about. I will kind of review it in here. And yes, brand new set because I moved to a different place. That's a whole other story. But let's get to the main topic of this empty review. The only topic, there's no main topic, is what this review is about. The last two episodes of The Last Dance on ESPN. That is the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls documentary about the last year of their dynasty. And I just finished watching the last two episodes, and I mean, yeah, the quality it was just as high. All right, well, I'll start with the only thing that I actually didn't like, the thing that kind of bothered me a little bit, and that was Jesus, it's so loud. Hold on, let me see if I can bring this shit down or something, cause Jesus Christ, it's almost peaking. Oh shit, that's low. No, hold on. There we go. See, it's a little loud. It's a little too loud. That's it. That's all it is. It's just a little too loud. That's what I thought. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. The only negative I have with these last two episodes was in episode 9, how much they focus on Steve Kerr. Because, I don't know. There's just something about Steve Kerr that I kind of don't... It's not that I don't like, but I just don't feel like, at least when it came to that Chicago Bulls team, like, I don't think Steve Kerr is that integral of a part of that team. I mean, he did hit a couple of big shots, right? Like, he hit some really big shots, but it's not like he was an all-star on that team, like, let's say Tony Kukoc, which I was reading some people talk about it online, that it was just kind of like, why the fuck does Steve Kerr get more airtime than Tony Kukoc, who was fucking balling in that 97-98 year? You know, he's been balling for a long time. He was an amazing player, but from the time they introduced Tony Kukoc, they don't really give a fuck about even like the same attitude that you see when they first show him when they're playing Tony Kukoc at the fucking Olympics or whatever. That's the same reverence that this documentary shows to Tony Kukoc. I mean, somebody said, I read somebody on Reddit, it was like how Carmen Electra got more screen time than Tony Kukoc, and I was like, yeah, that's fucked up. That is very fucked up, but that's not the only reason I didn't enjoy the Steve Kerr part. It just felt overly sentimental, and like the documentary was willingly, like it was almost too transparent that it was trying to fuck with my emotions. And whenever I notice a documentary or any sort of media does that, I kind of shut down. I was like, right, I'm not fucking paying attention to that shit. Fuck that shit. I don't care. I don't care that his dad got shot. You know what I mean? It's sad, but I mean, they're like trying to give, it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like if you ever watch a TV show and you got one of the little side characters and they devote a whole episode on a side character. Unless that side character is truly interesting, like really, really, really interesting, you don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And it's a side character. Like, why aren't we focusing on the main characters? I mean, they kind of did with Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen and Jordan, obviously, and Phil. I guess Steve Kerr, I don't know why the fuck they included. Well, I know why. The reason Steve Kerr was so heavily included in these in the last couple of episodes of this documentary was because he's a really popular coach of the Warriors. You know what I mean? Which is another great dynasty in basketball. So that's probably the only reason why he's included in it as much as he is. But yeah, that was the only thing I didn't like. Everything else I liked. And I don't know what the fuck I was expecting from these last two episodes. I think when I realized what it was, which is literally just a journey into the fucking the last season and getting past the Pacers and the Jazz. That's literally what these last two episodes were. But I don't know, I guess the past episodes have been so packed. You know what I mean? They always have a lot of shit, and then with the time jumping and shit, there was always a lot. With these last two episodes, I think it was more focused on let's beat the Pacers and let's beat the Jazz. And I mean, if anything, man, because listen, I wasn't alive for a lot of this Michael Jordan shit. So if anything, the best thing this documentary did was just show how fucking amazing Michael Jordan is. And for somebody like me who like I legitimately, well, kind of knew in the back of my head, like if they're showing this, if this is the Last Dance, the whole thing's about it, because I was kind of in the edge of my seat saying, oh, is the Jazz gonna beat them? What the hell's gonna happen, right? I'm like in the edge of my seat because I don't know. I don't know that fucking NBA history. I didn't know that the Bulls were gonna beat the Pacers and the Jazz. I assumed it because it'll be kind of anticlimactic if they didn't, just in a storytelling sense. But I actually had no idea what was gonna happen. Like I didn't know any of the memorable moments, and I mean. Yeah, this is. I feel like this is required viewing for anybody who's a fan of basketball who didn't grow up watching the Michael Jordan era, because I feel like if anything, this will make you realize, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not even close, And I don't know that much about LeBron's history as well. I just know because I kind of talked about it in my Empty Opinions podcast, which you guys should check out on this same feed or YouTube channel. We kind of talked about how me and my friend CD talked about how the main difference between Jordan and LeBron is just that is their mentality. It's not that one is more physically gifted or the other or more skilled. It's just what their priorities are. And I think Michael Jordan's priority was legacy, having the most rings of all time, like a 3P, 6P, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a 2-time 3P. That's a very kind of confusing sentence. 2-time 3P. Yeah, that's a little weird. But that's what Michael Jordan was focusing on versus LeBron. I think he wants to win, but he has other priorities in mind. And, when he doesn't win, I don't think it destroys him like it destroyed Michael Jordan. So it's really just a mentality thing, the difference between Jordan and LeBron. But, I mean, watching this documentary kind of made me see the whole, there's no way you can even compare Jordan to LeBron because it's just, in terms of winning, in terms of who's the greatest basketball player of all time, no fucking way. I mean, maybe I'm just biased because I just saw this documentary and then make a compelling case why Michael Jordan is one of the greatest of all time. But it's just hard. Yeah, you just can't compare Jordan and LeBron. I think Jordan is just kind of like above everybody else. I think it's Jordan and then LeBron. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, Jordan has always been like leaps and bounds ahead of other basketball players, right? At least that's how I think. That's what I feel. Right, so I think LeBron passed a lot of those players that were above Jordan, but he still hasn't surpassed Jordan, and I don't think at this point he can even pass them. You know what I mean? It will take. I think somebody will pass Jordan. Somebody will be as dominant as Jordan. It's bound to happen. History repeats itself. People don't think that's possible, but it is. There's gonna come a player that all he cares about is just winning rings and winning series and single-handedly turning a fucking shitty franchise into an amazing franchise. And you know who has the most promising player that has a mentality similar to Jordan is Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks. Going to the Bucks. I mean, who the fuck have the Bucks ever been good? I have no idea. I think Giannis got there. Giannis. They say you say Giannis. I don't fucking know how you pronounce his name, man. I don't fucking speak Greek. But I think he's going to be... I think if anything... I've always had a feeling that the Bucks were going to be a dynasty. And I guess it was going to take a couple of tries for them to do it. I think they are going to be... That's my wild prediction. I think they are going to be like the new... fucking, how do I like the new Bulls? I guess I don't fucking know. But let's get back to the documentary. I mean, what else did we see? I mean, we just saw how fucking. If anything, also like who the fuck's people were saying that the competition back then is not as good as it is now. What? I specifically heard this in the Joe Budden podcast. How Joe Budden was saying, "Can we be honest and say that the Bulls never faced a greater foe than the foes that LeBron faced, or something like that?" I'm watching these teams. I'm like, the Pacers that they beat, the Jazz, the Suns. I mean, there's so many teams. All right, let's count them down. So, and also, this documentary definitely does help me with my basketball knowledge for sure, because I had no idea. I've heard the names Karl Malone, John Stockton, fucking Reggie Miller, like all these names. I've heard of them before, but I didn't really know them. So this documentary helped me find out a lot of that. But let's go through them, right? So the Jazz, which were fucking amazing, just from what I was seeing, right? They even beat the Lakers or something. They swept the Lakers, some shit like that with Shaq. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. So they got John Stockton, like I said, Karl Malone. They got other people. Then you got the Pacers, who he had to beat. Then he had the Detroit Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, who literally just beat you up on the court. Then you had the Knicks. They were able to beat the Knicks. Who was on Detroit Pistons? Isaiah Thomas, Zeke. The Celtics with Larry Bird, the Lakers with Magic Johnson. Like I said, the Knicks with Patrick Ewing and all those people. Then you had, like I said, Charles Barkley with the Sun. It was a lot of teams that Jordan had to beat to be where he was at, and he did. So it's not like, and people, and no, those teams are fucking amazing, man. I mean, you count, I guess, the Warriors, right? The Warriors were probably on the same level as a lot of the teams. People are saying the Warriors were better. I don't know, man. I don't know, because I mean the Warriors were just threes, right? And if you try to compare how they played back then with how the Warriors are playing now, it would have been such a weird, like what would they have done? I mean, yeah, I can't even begin to think, because I'm just thinking of like Curry just shooting threes after threes. That's the thing, man. Threes is kind of a cheat. It's really not, but it is. And that's why the Warriors are a dynasty, because they figured out just let's focus on 3-pointers, because if you hit enough 3-pointers, you're going to fucking win. Just the odds of numbers, 3 points is better than 2 points. So I don't know. I think they did their best with that. But I mean, how long have I been going for? Yeah, I mean, there isn't that much to say, other than it really got me hyped. It really showed who the fuck the best team and who best player of all time is, right? I mean, that's the other thing. I really liked how they actually did just focus on The Last Dance. Like, that's what the documentary was all about. They did some time jumping to give a little bit of background for everything. But at the end of the day, this was just about the last year of the Chicago Bulls, right? It had a heavy emphasis on Michael Jordan, of course, but it really was just about that last year, and then it ended as soon as the last year ended. I actually really enjoyed that, because it became focused. It was just about this thing. It wasn't about Michael Jordan going to the Wizards and all this shit. No, it was just, this was the last year of one of the greatest dynasties of all time. It was really cool to see. Yeah, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, kind of undisputed at this point if you watch his documentary. And now I'm just excited to actually pay more attention to basketball, because if anything, this documentary made me a bigger fan of basketball. So I just can't wait to watch that whenever it comes back with audience on audience. And then this documentary, I guess, made me miss basketball, made me realize how fucking good the season was gonna be. You know what I mean? The season of basketball, with LeBron promising to win with the Lakers and them being the number one on the West. Just in all the crazy West teams, with OKC, the Rockets, the Jazz were kind of good, I think. Oh yeah, Trae Young and Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? Like so much exciting, Ja Morant with the Grizzlies. So much exciting shit was Zion, of course. How could I forget? There was a lot of exciting shit happening in this season that sadly kind of just whiffed away because of the fucking coronavirus. Fuck the virus, man. Fuck that Rona. But yeah, that's really what this documentary made me realize, is that I'm a really big fan of basketball. So I just can't wait till it comes back. But for now, this was a great way to be connected to basketball somehow. Yo, basketball and just sports in general, I think we're starting to see how underrated it really is, and in terms of its importance for society, at the very least, American society. No, it's society in the world. Because I mean, the same way we're obsessed with basketball and football and baseball in the United States, it's the same way, or even more, how it is with international countries, international places with soccer, football, right? So it's like sports is just an important thing in our lives that I think a lot of people kind of took for granted or didn't like, The people that weren't into sports didn't realize how important it was. And the people who were also realized it was important, but they didn't realize how truly important it was. That's really what this coronavirus, if anything, that's what has made us realize is like sports is just part of humanity. It's one of the most important things in human history. It is what it is. It is what it is. If anybody watches the History Highness podcast, you would get that. But that's it. That's going to be it for my review of the last 2 episodes of The Last Dance. I think I should have just done an overall season review instead of the last 2 episodes review, but I've been doing it weekly, so it is what it is. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening to this empty review, and I'll catch you guys on the next empty review.